It took more than a month of street protests in the streets of Georgian cities for the opposition to see support from Poland. The head of the Ministry of Diplomacy, Radosław Sikorski, signed a joint letter from the foreign ministers of the Weimar Triangle. In addition to Poland, there are Germany and France. They announced the end of visa-free travel for Georgian diplomats, among others. Meanwhile, Georgians are looking to Washington, D.C., and hoping that the Trump administration will weaken Putin's influence on their country. Our special correspondent Aleksander Wierzejski was on the scene. Once the new president was inaugurated, did the opposition consider themselves defeated?
W żadnym wypadku. Nie.
By no means. No, the protests continue, and the authorities have failed to appease them. Of course, the government has introduced Putin-era laws and managed to hold parliamentary elections in the spring, although, to put it mildly, they raised doubts about their fairness, and finally managed to seat their man as president, which seems to remove the last obstacle of former President Salom Zurabishvili to completely Putinize Georgia. However, one thing has been forgotten: the will of the people, who simply do not want such changes. And the public has been protesting and taking to the streets since late November. Also yesterday, on a holiday and family day, several hundred people showed up in front of the parliament with slogans that we know well from our history: freedom, democracy, Europe. But most importantly, we demand new elections. Salom Zurabishvili gave a hopeful welcome to the Polish presidency of the European Union. Congratulations to Poland on taking over the EU Council presidency. Wishing you success in this important role. From Georgia, we look forward to your continued support for the Georgian people and our shared commitment to European values and growth. The people who gather at the protests are very much counting on Western support to defend the common values that are being violated by the Georgian Dream authorities. It was only on New Year's Eve that Poland joined the list of countries that spoke out on the issue, but as part of the Weimar Triangle. Together with Germany and France, the heads of diplomacy of these countries condemned the violence against protesters in Georgia and the departure of the authorities from European integration against the will of the people. They also announced sanctions. The political direction of repression and moving away from democracy taken by the Georgian Dream Party has led to a deterioration of our relations at the European and national levels and a reduction in our support for and cooperation with the Georgian authorities. We will therefore implement the EU's decision to abolish visa-free travel for Georgian diplomatic and service passport holders and consider additional measures at the EU and national levels. However, in Germany, elections are 6 weeks away, and the position of the French government is shaky, so the value of such a statement is also rather symbolic. The situation is different in the United States. There, a new Congress will be sworn in tomorrow. Congressman Joe Wilson of South Carolina wants the Georgia issue to be among the priorities of the new administration and parliament. In a letter to Mark Rubio, the future head of diplomacy, and Mike Waltz, the president's nominee for security advisor, Wilson calls for further sanctions against Bidzina Ivanishvili and his team. The letter reads, "These measures strike at the heart of the de facto Georgian government's misleading narrative that its alignment with pro-Chinese, Iranian, and Russian interests would find acceptance under President-elect Trump's leadership or under any U.S. administration." In the context of the Trump administration's actions, the fact that Salom Zurabishvili is going to Washington, D.C. for the inauguration of the new 47th President of the United States takes on significance. Aside from politics, during New Year's Eve, greetings from Tbilisi float to us, to the viewers and the team of Republica Television. I would like to wish the viewers of TV Republica from the heart of Georgia, from Tbilisi, first of all, peace. Peace in our families, our homes, our hearts, but also the peace that we need most now. That is, an end to this war. Let there be peace. For Television Republica, Happy New Year.
Gruzja, Tbilisi, Aleksander Wierzejski, Republika.
Preparations are nearly complete for the ceremonial inauguration of the new U.S. president. Donald Trump made it no secret that he is optimistic about the new year.
Well, just great, a great year. I think we're going to do fantastically well as a country. We're going to bring it back. It has to be brought back. People are not respecting our country very much, and they're going to respect us a lot. And I think a lot of progress has been made over the last 5 weeks. It's been pretty amazing when you look at what's happened. There's a whole light over the whole world, not just our country.
Polish President Andrzej Duda hopes to solidify transatlantic relations with the United States. Throughout my entire presidency, I have consistently sought to strengthen the strategic Polish-American relationship. Today, I am proud to be able to say that it is stronger than ever, but I am convinced that in the coming months, it may gain another dimension. And this is due to Poland taking over the presidency of the Council of the European Union. For the next 6 months, Poland will be setting the priorities for the whole EU. The most important one is to be security. Many experts, however, doubt that the Polish government, with Donald Tusk as prime minister, will be able to build good relations with Donald Trump's administration, recalling these words from Donald Tusk, among others. Trump's ties to Russian services are no longer in doubt. This is the result of an official investigation. U.S. services aren't ruling out that he was downright recruited by the Russian state 30 years ago. There should be some informal channels to apologize, to retract certain words. The allegations of collusion with Russia were particularly unfortunate. Maintaining a close alliance with the United States has been one of the cornerstones of Polish foreign policy ever since gaining full independence in 1989. Fraying relations with America would be a disastrous mistake for any Polish government to make, and one most Poles do not want to ever witness.
Albania became the first country in Europe to ban TikTok. There is no violence in Chinese TikTok, and in other countries, this social media platform is filled with negative messages. We don't need that here. Blocking TikTok will affect my business. I used to start live streaming at 11 p.m., ask people how their day was going, and inform them about what they will be able to purchase in my store. I wish it wasn't banned, because I invested a lot in this way of marketing, but I understand that TikTok carries some risks. Perhaps Prime Minister Edi Rama is right to impose this ban. Kids only watch negative things on TikTok. I think it's a good decision for the moment. Let it stay banned for now. We'll see how the situation develops. I personally am in favor of shutting down TikTok. The ban on TikTok in Albania has been in effect since the 1st of January. The country's prime minister announced on the 21st of December, after a 14-year-old boy was stabbed to death by another student in November. The conflict between the boys was said to have started on TikTok. Albanian Prime Minister Edi Rama indicated that the decision was made after discussions with parents and teachers. It is worth noting that the app has 2 versions, Chinese and global. The former is educational, while the global one focuses primarily on entertainment, and there is no shortage of dangerous and inappropriate content for the youngest. Australia has gone further, with a total ban on social media use by children under 16.
Fireworks and firecrackers were used as weapons, and New Year's Eve became an excuse for illegal immigrants to attack public services and ordinary people. The newcomers from the Middle East and North Africa targeted anyone who got in their way and terrorized the inhabitants of German cities. We had to intervene throughout the night. 330 people were taken into custody. We were attacked with illegal weapons, mainly fireworks. But there were also attacks on civilians and their property. Migrants shot at people, cars, houses, and shops, causing chaos and endangering the lives of residents. Groups, mainly young migrants, made a kind of competition of setting fires, throwing all kinds of objects, especially at the police, at the emergency services there. The images are shocking, as every year. Ordinary people who just wanted to have a good time encountered aggressive and hostile immigrants. Residents of Berlin and other German cities admit they have had to learn to live with this fear since their authorities opened their doors wide to illegal immigrants. And yet, just before Christmas, an immigrant from Saudi Arabia drove into a crowd at a Christmas market in Magdeburg, killing 5 people and injuring more than 200. I always hope that nothing bad will happen, but I don't have that certainty anymore. That's why I'm a bit afraid, because I know that a large police force has been deployed to protect people who are just celebrating the new year. We may not know the extent of what happened last night for a long time. A few years ago, the German police and media kept quiet about the rapes of women on New Year's Eve in Cologne. And yesterday, they tried to hide the identity of the knifeman who terrorized Berlin and injured 2 people, all because he was an immigrant from Syria. Unfortunately, last night, illegal immigrants attacked residents and police officers, set fire to cars, and smashed shop windows. Here in Brussels, immigrants threw Molotov cocktails at the police and filmed it themselves. These people are in no way integrating. These people are not celebrating the way it's traditionally been done in our civilization for many years. And we have pictures here where we see police officers injured, where we see cars burned, where we see these fireworks being shot through windows at ordinary people. Here in northern France, immigrants set fire to a municipal ice rink after terrorizing the security guard with knives. German authorities admit that New Year's Eve has become a space for violence, which is why many women chose to stay at home. Germans have had enough of the violence, which could see Olaf Scholz, an advocate of opening the borders to third world immigrants, lose his chancellorship in the upcoming early parliamentary elections.